There is a particular kind of loneliness that feels almost shameful to admit. Not the kind that comes from being physically alone, but the kind that appears in the middle of laughter, noise, and familiar faces. You're sitting at the table. The music is playing. Your friends are talking over each other. Someone tells a joke and everyone leans in. You smile. You nod. You respond when spoken to. And yet, beneath the surface, there's a quiet ache. A sense of being invisible, disconnected, somehow separate from the very people you care about. The psychology of feeling lonely in a room full of friends is not about social failure. It is rarely about the number of people in your life. It is about perceived emotional disconnection. Loneliness is not the absence of company. It is the absence of resonance. It is the feeling that no one sees the parts of you that matter most. This pattern often begins long before adulthood. Many people who experience this form of loneliness grew up in environments where their emotional world wasn't fully mirrored back to them. Maybe they were praised for achievements, but not comforted in vulnerability. Maybe they were the easy child, the independent one who didn't cause trouble, and so their deeper needs went unnoticed. Or perhaps they learned early that expressing certain emotions led to rejection, criticism, or withdrawal. As children, we adapt. If emotional expression feels unsafe or unrewarded, we learn to edit ourselves. We become observant. We read the room. We adjust. Over time, this adaptation becomes a personality trait, agreeable, accommodating, socially functional. But beneath that polished surface, a quiet question lingers. Would they still like me if they really knew me? In adulthood, this internal script shows up subtly. You're physically present, but emotionally guarded. You participate, but selectively. You share stories, but rarely your raw thoughts. You listen deeply to others, often becoming the emotional support in the group, yet struggle to voice your own insecurities. You are known, but not deeply known, and that gap creates loneliness. Another psychological factor is hyper-awareness. Some people in social settings are not relaxed participants. They are internal observers. Instead of fully experiencing the moment, they are analyzing themselves in it. Am I talking too much? Do I look awkward? Was that comment stupid? This constant self-monitoring prevents immersion. It keeps the nervous system in a mild state of alertness. And connection requires safety. When your mind is busy evaluating your performance, you cannot fully feel belonging. You are too busy measuring it. There is also the concept of emotional mismatch. Sometimes you outgrow certain dynamics. Your friends may still be bonded by shared history, humor, or surface-level updates, but internally you crave depth, conversations about fears, purpose, identity, doubt. When those needs go unmet, you may feel lonely even among people who genuinely care about you. It is not that they are wrong, it is that your emotional landscape has evolved. This kind of loneliness can also stem from identity diffusion. If you have spent years adapting yourself to fit different social environments, you may lose clarity about who you are without those adjustments. In a group, you shift into a version of yourself that feels acceptable. Alone, you feel something else entirely. The tension between these selves creates a sense of isolation. It is difficult to feel connected when you are unsure which version of you is being seen. Some people experience this loneliness due to attachment patterns. Individuals with anxious attachment may feel constantly uncertain about their place in a group, scanning for subtle signs of exclusion. A delayed text response, a side conversation, laughter you weren't part of. These moments can amplify internal narratives of being less valued. On the other hand, those with avoidant attachment may unconsciously distance themselves emotionally, keeping conversations light and limiting vulnerability, then later feel the emptiness of that self-imposed barrier. In both cases, the loneliness is less about the external environment and more about internal beliefs. There is also the pressure of comparison. In group settings, especially among long-term friends, it is easy to compare life milestones, careers, relationships, financial success, confidence levels. If you silently feel behind, different, or misunderstood, you may withdraw internally. You laugh along, but you don't fully feel equal. And equality is essential for belonging. If you feel inferior or fundamentally different, connection feels fragile. One of the most painful aspects of this experience is guilt. I have friends. Why do I feel this way? This self-criticism deepens the loneliness. Instead of exploring the feeling, you suppress it. But emotions that are dismissed do not disappear. They intensify in quiet moments. After the gathering ends, you might replay conversations, wondering why you felt detached, why you couldn't relax, why something felt missing. What is often missing is emotional risk. True connection requires exposure. It requires revealing uncertainty, sharing something unfinished, admitting fear, or expressing a perspective that might not be universally accepted. For many people who feel lonely in groups, vulnerability feels dangerous. It threatens belonging, so they protect themselves by staying within safe conversational boundaries. The irony is that this protection maintains the loneliness they are trying to avoid. You cannot be deeply connected while deeply guarded. There is also a neurological component. Our brains are wired for attunement, the subtle back and forth signals that say, I see you, I understand you. When these signals are inconsistent or absent in early life, the brain becomes more vigilant in social environments. It may struggle to register belonging even when it exists. The person might intellectually know they are valued, but emotionally not feel it. This disconnect between cognition and emotion creates confusion. In daily life, this pattern can show up as social exhaustion. You may leave gatherings drained rather than energized. You might avoid large group settings altogether, preferring one-on-one conversations where depth feels more accessible. Or you might stay in the group but remain on the periphery, both physically and emotionally. Relationships can be affected too. You may unconsciously choose friendships that mirror old patterns. Where you are the listener, the helper, the stable one, you may rarely ask for support, reinforcing the idea that your inner world is secondary. Over time, resentment can build quietly, not because your friends have failed you, but because you have not allowed them to fully know you. The solution is not necessarily new friends. Sometimes it is new behavior. It begins with self-honesty. Instead of asking, why am I so ungrateful? Ask, what part of me feels unseen right now? Instead of suppressing the discomfort, observe it. Is it fear of judgment? Is it a desire for deeper conversation? Is it insecurity about where you are in life? Identifying the root shifts the experience from shame to insight. Next comes small emotional risks. You do not need to transform into someone radically different. Connection grows from gradual exposure. Share one honest thought instead of the polished version. Admit when you're unsure. Ask a deeper question. Stay present long enough to see how others respond. You may discover that your fear of rejection is louder than reality. It is also important to cultivate self-connection outside social settings. When you are clear about your values, needs, and emotional patterns, you enter groups with less dependency on external validation. You participate because you want to, not because you are seeking confirmation of worth. This internal stability reduces the hyperanalysis and comparison that fuel loneliness, and sometimes the feeling of loneliness is a signal of growth. As we evolve, some dynamics naturally feel less aligned. This does not mean abandoning friendships impulsively. It means expanding your relational world. Seeking spaces where depth is welcomed, engaging in activities that reflect your current identity, allowing your social environment to evolve alongside you. The most healing realization is this: feeling lonely in a room full of friends does not mean you are broken. It means there is a gap between your inner world and what is being expressed. That gap can be bridged. Belonging is not something you passively receive. It is something co-created through authenticity. And authenticity begins with allowing yourself to be imperfectly visible. The next time you feel that quiet ache in the middle of noise, pause. Notice it without judgment. Ask yourself what you are withholding. Ask yourself what you are withholding. Ask what you need. Then take one small step toward being known rather than simply being present. Loneliness is not a verdict on your worth. It is an invitation to know yourself more deeply, to express yourself more honestly, and to trust that the right people will meet you there. And they often will. Change does not happen overnight. But every time you choose vulnerability over performance, awareness over self-criticism, and curiosity over shame, you move closer to the kind of connection that feels real. The kind where you can sit in a crowded room, hear the laughter, and feel not separate but woven into it. That possibility is not reserved for other people. It is available to you.